Today is Monday, November 18th, 2019. Now today, what's going on in the sky? Let's backtrack first a little bit to yesterday. The moon entered Leo at 4:57 p.m. yesterday. That brings in a nice, warm, vibrant energy. The moon being in a fire sign gives a more imaginative quality to our days and our emotions and things like that. We're more apt to slip into fantasy at this time, to want something bigger, larger, grander. All right, so that's nothing wrong with that type of energy, right? Unless we can't ground it. Now the moon is squaring Mercury at 1:53 p.m. And what this means is that it's not a great time for domestic affairs, dealings with relatives. There could be miscommunications in that few hour period. And of course, it all depends on how well or how negatively your Mercury in the chart is aspected. So you might want to pay attention to that right now. Also, later on today, at 8:47 p.m., we got the moon inconjuncting Neptune. Followed a couple hours later at 10:21 p.m. by the moon inconjuncting Saturn. Alright, so what's the deal with these inconjuncts? We've talked about them a lot. We know that they kind of can be harmonious and then all of a sudden tense, and then, the planet's back to flowing nicely and harmoniously. With the moon, you're only going to have a few hour window where these things are in effect, maybe an hour before, maybe an hour after, and while the aspect is completely on point. So, at most, maybe like a 4 or 5 hour window here to feel this, half a day window. So, when you're thinking about these things, you have to understand that it happens in such fast periods. The moon being so close to the earth, it brings energy in really rapidly, and things just really move on this plane. The moon inconjuncting Neptune at 8:47, well, what this is doing is it's really not a very strong aspect. It doesn't have a very strong influence. It's kind of weak as far as aspects are concerned, especially on a collective level. But one thing to pay attention to is Neptune's more restrictive side at this time, maybe hampering your ability to get in touch with your own emotions. This day at times, this night at times, this evening, it being at 8:47, may feel a little bit out of your control. Maybe you feel a little bit more dedicated to the people around you or the things that you're doing at this time. Or, maybe you're just having a hard time accessing your own emotions. This could be a Neptunian influence where it sort of demands that you put your own stuff on the back burner for mergence with a collective or with the work you're doing or things like that. Now, with the moon coming into this inconjunct with Saturn, it's definitely a time at 10:21 p.m. and around this evening and later on at night where you're going to have to pay attention to the worries of the day surfacing up, repressed anxiety, depression. Don't allow the more depressive sides of your nature to take hold. Be aware that this is a possibility. And due to that possibility, we're going to sidestep it. We're going to make moves to become conscious, meaning aware of what's going on, aware that this is a possibility, and then we're going to deal with it by using the more steady and stable influence that Saturn brings into our emotional state, moon inconjunct Saturn. So we can use Saturn effectively. We just have to be aware of how it might influence us on a more unconscious level, which is the depression, the anxieties, the worries, things like that. So pay attention to these aspects today. Pay attention to what's going on in your own natal chart. Of course, if you don't know, or if you want to dig really deep with a professional astrologer like me, then why don't you come on down to Pixie Dust in Sarasota. I'll be there today, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And I'll also be there on Wednesday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'm there every Monday and Wednesday. We can talk about your chart in depth. We can go over your relationships, your career, your security needs with your moon. We can go over the solar journey, and how you can start to use your secure base, the moon, your lunar side, to start to approach that. We can discuss your personal ego and how that needs to break free at times with your Mars. We can discuss the influence of the collective planets like Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. These are all very important facets that you should go over one by one and then build back up into a cohesive unit. So come on down to Pixie Dust and we'll get the chart open and we'll start really going through that. If you want to do some tarot, some divination, you know, let's pull the cards out too. Let's just do it all. I'll see you there. If not, make sure to call and book your appointment for next time. And I hope this information was helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.